All right, this is Mike Doyle with the mortgage firm again. We are here every Wednesday at noon, and just a casual format. Bring all your mortgage related questions to us. So if you have anything you want to say, throw it in the chat. If you don't have anything, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover today the importance of having a good pre-approval. Join with me again is next to me is Elizabeth Lopez. She has been with us for several years. She's been in banking forever. She was the top manager over at Regions Bank. We'd send her all of our referrals, and she would help build credit, get her customers in shape so they could buy a house. They had excellent credit building programs. She does an excellent job, bilingual, and just customers love her. Tom Bennick on the far end here. Tom's been doing this as long as I have. He just looks a lot younger, and he is amazing. He is experienced, patient. So he's got a couple kids, and very, very good with the first-time home buyers. Also, if you've got multi-million-dollar houses, Tom will tell you can get those financed too. But most importantly, Tom is probably one of the funniest people you'll ever meet, which is probably the most important thing in this industry.
So, that's why we're always laughing. I mean, if anybody wants to know why we always start this laughing, I mean, there's always something, a joke or something going on.
Always some nonsense going on before
we got to set the tone. We have fun while we do this.
Yeah, and we work together. We've known each other for a long time, We were back at Regions 11, 12. It had to be 12 years ago.
Wow.
I think I worked with Elizabeth at Regions 12, 13 years ago or so.
Wow.
So
that's
a while ago. Yeah, it's hard to believe. But we've been at the mortgage firm for 10 years. Best company I've ever been with. Best company I've ever been associated with. And our industry recruiters are always calling you, and people that they'll routinely say, "Oh yeah, we hate the mortgage firm. It's hard to steal you from the mortgage firm." So the mortgage firm does not lose a lot of loan officers.
It doesn't. I think the other day, it's funny because I did get one of the realtors I work with shared a text with me, and the listing agent said, you work with the mortgage firm, and it was just, I love them. And I'm going, yes. Like I knew that was, one of the reasons that they know how we work. So we hold our word to the name there.
Yeah, and it's just not our office; it's corporate. It's the culture of the whole industry, of the whole company. Everybody's just on board to make everything happen and to get loans closed. So, yeah, it is a great company, no doubt.
The original owners are loan officers, so the commitment is to closing loans. Mm-hmm. So, we're here to close loans, and we've come from the banking. And on the banking side, again, you're dealing with, not to be too hard on them, but you're dealing with processors and loan partners and underwriters that are in states away. So I remember leaving messages for my processors, and I might not hear back from them for days. Here, they work right with us. So underwriters, everybody, they're all part of within our control. So it's just a true commitment to closing loans.
Yeah, look, after the Regions, we did PNC, I think, for a little bit, or I was at PNC Bank for a little bit doing mortgages. I think you might have been there for a little bit, Mike.
I was there with you.
But I can only count for myself. I got a little bit nervous when I would meet with my realtors after a while, and they started to tell me that PNC stood for "you're probably not closing," because you always got hit with conditions on the way to closing. Oh, you're PNC, we're probably not closing. That's kind of hard to overcome there a little bit. So, this is a completely different world compared to the bank.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think in this industry, you hear the big names and you have like the Rocket Mortgage and everything else. And I have like a lot of realtors that they're like, oh, steer away from that. And I think it's more because coming from the banking industry, it was more of a number. You know what I mean? It's like the volume was just so high. There was just a number. But here, it's more of that individual attention that we give, and we cater, if anything, to our clients. So it's very different what we are able to do with the mortgage firm versus what I've done in the banks in the past. It's very different.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into our conversation today. We're going to be talking about pre-approval letters and how important they are. And the difference with the bank is that they almost squeeze you into a situation. You just keep putting out pre-approval. I've gotten some clients before. I've got a pre-approval letter from a bank. Well, but they didn't ask me for any income documents. Well, How did you get the pre-approval letter? So, or Tom, why you ask me for my tax returns? The other Bank of America or whoever, whatever bank didn't ask me for that. Well, then how am I going to get a pre-approval letter? How do we know what's going on? So yeah, and that's what we're going to get into today. Of course, the importance of a good pre-approval letter.
Or they take them. It takes them about a week or so to get a pre-approval out to you, and by that time that property's long gone. I mean, I know that for a lot of our agents, we'll send reminders, and it's not to be annoying, but on Thursdays, I know that we sent out text messages to say, hey, the weekend's coming. Do you need me to change that pre-approval for you? Update it? Do we need a pre-approval? For a new client, you just don't want to go out, looking for a house, or first of all, you don't even know what you're looking for if you don't have a pre-approval. But you want to make sure that you're going with the right information and ready to put in an offer. Just because they do go that fast. So you want to make sure that if you fall in love with the house, that your pre-approval is correct.
As Elizabeth was saying earlier about the realtors knowing who we are, people will say to me, well, what does it matter? I got pre-approved. Over half of delays for closings are due to mortgage related delays. So when we get calls, because we're known, if I get contracts in on Monday, Tuesday, I can close them the next week. In general, we'll close them the next week. So even on a condo, if you come in with a condo questionnaire completed, budget, balance sheet, and everything else, and you can get your approval, we can still close them next week. So we're fast. So we get calls when loans fall apart, but the realtors, they don't want these loans to fall apart. And we get pre-approvals, where people have been working on loans. I had one the other day where they're 2 weeks past closing. 2 weeks past closing. They keep kicking it out. And I'm on the phone with them, and I have a conversation with the person in 15 minutes. Like, this guy doesn't qualify. They don't qualify. So we know that because we have the experience. We know what can and can't be counted. This guy had a second job. They were counting both jobs, but he only had the second job for a couple of months. So unless you've been working 2 jobs for 2 years, I can't count both jobs.
Right.
So the realtors are looking for experienced lenders that have control of the process. And they know what Tom and I went through back when we were in the banking days, where we had no control, where the underwriter and the loan partners and the processors, there's no getting a hold of them. There's no influence. There's no discussions. There's no finding plan A's, plan B, and plan C's. So we have the reputation that the realtors know we're going to close. So when there's a house that's priced well and you have multiple offers, I tell everybody, I'll get you in the top 2. And people say we keep losing out to cash offers. We're financing cash offers. People are making cash offers and coming to us for financing. All it means is when you make a cash offer is that you're locked into this or you're going to lose your deposit. So they might be making a cash offer, but they still get their financing. And in general, we're so fast that we can have that property appraised and underwritten a lot of times during the inspection period. So it is very important who you use. And if individuals are out there looking for, the Bank of Southwest Idaho, because they're an eighth of a point better, you can go to those banks all day. Your offers are never getting accepted. So we've got an incredibly experienced team. We have unbelievable reviews, and we close our loans. And if we give you pre-approvals, we're closing the loans. So when we give you the pre-approval, it gives you the best opportunity of having your loan, of having your contract accepted.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't want it to be too late. I mean, I have somebody earlier this week or over the weekend that I got a nap on Sunday. And you're right, Mike. Sometimes you just go to someone, and I don't want to, my pre-approvals, the way that I see them is I try to get as accurate as possible with the pre-approvals. I felt so bad. I have a couple that put in an offer accepted. And then I told the agent, I said, you know what? I said, something's going on. There's something weird. I said about this pre-approval. I looked into it, some more. The income wasn't adding up. And it's exactly what you said. They were adding a second job. Mind you, again, offer was accepted. They're all excited. Love the house. Oh, we got to make this work. Got to make it work. There's nothing I could do about it. And all of a sudden I had to be, the bad person delivering the news. I understand that you put in an offer. I understand that it got accepted, but your pre-approval wasn't correct. What you came, to me with. At that point, it's like, do I want to be, I guess I'm the bad guy at that point, the bad guy that's not lying to you. But at least I knew my pre-approval was correct, simply because part-time jobs, like Mike said, I get it. She was only employed for about 6 months, so I can't use that income. That was part of the income used to do it. So you do want somebody that's going to ask you for the information up front, If I have questions, we have an amazing team that I know that I could ask. We have a way for us to be able to confirm income. We have an income desk that helps us. So it's not just us. I mean, you talk to us first, but we have a whole team behind us that helps us, with trying to figure out with what the income is, if we could exclude something, if there's a guideline that we're missing. So it really does take a really, really good team to know that you're going to have a really good pre-approval.
The other thing I've seen lately is on the purchase agreement contracts, I think we're given typically 30 days to get a mortgage commitment letter. I've seen quite a few shorten down that commitment letter time to, 15 days, 20 days. Even though the closing date may not be for another 30 to 45 days, we'll get that commitment letter within those days. So if you're coming across, if you're a realtor and there's a seller that wants that commitment letter quick, just to know that they've got a legitimate buyer and they need to change that 15 days to 10 days, 15 days, we'll get that commitment letter done.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and feel confident to make that change, because we'll get you the commitment letter to stay in contract.
Also, a lot of times what people say to us, well, what about the appraisals? The appraisals take forever. These appraisers are, for the most part, independent contractors. Okay, they get paid. They get paid to do the appraisal. So if we're doing a rush appraisal, we'll put out the rush appraisal. We'll put $250 or whatever for the rush, and then somebody picks it up, and it goes through a rotation. So we can't give the appraisals to any specific appraiser, but you put a rush fee on it. So I'll get it if somebody is willing to pay enough. I'll guarantee if I put a $5,000 rush fee on it, I'll get it back tomorrow. So, we haven't needed that, but usually for a week, for a couple $100, we can often get them back. So that's how we have the ability. If I get a contract in, you give me your weekend contracts, we'll close them the next week. And I know a lot of people advertise that or they say that, but we do it. And it's truly because we're self-contained. We're self-contained. We have the ability to go in and control the process. But that's why we want to do a good pre-approval up front. And we even have the ability now to do loan committed pre-approvals. So we call them TBDs, where you don't have the address yet, but we'll take all of your information, we'll collect it up front as though we have a contract. We'll have it underwritten by an underwriter. And then when you have a contract, it's really just subject to the appraisal, or the verification of the contract. But you've already been underwritten and you're ready to go. So when you come in with one of those type of offers, those are gold.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is also one of the things that Tom just said, with the commitment period. I have found that's FHA. When I know we brought this up in the past, it's nobody wants to take FHA. It's been like this big thing of running away from FHA. I happen to close a lot of FHA loans, but I think one of the reasons is because the commitment period. We want to make sure that nobody's wasting their time, not the buyer, not the seller, not the agent, not us, nobody. So we want to make sure that we get that loan commitment. So sometimes even if we talk to the listing agent and we just tell them, yes, it's an FHA loan, the communication that we have to have with that listing agent is what's going to get that offer accepted, in my opinion, because a lot of times I don't think they realize that it's going to close on time. The seller's going to get the same amount of money. It's just FHA just got a bad reputation, but it's the same thing. We're still closing FHA loans in 30 days or less. That's still a thing. But I do think the commitment for us, that's a big thing when you're doing an FHA loan and you're telling the seller, hey, you know what? Yes, it's an FHA loan, but just 10-day, 15-day loan commitment. You won't waste your time. We don't waste our time. Nobody wastes their time, and we'll be able to let you know. I think that's a win for them.
We'll close it next week. I don't think there's any reason why we can't do an FHA loan next week. You give me an FHA loan contract on Monday. It's FHA appraisers are our appraisers. It's no special appraiser. The appraisers that are on our rotation do FHA appraisals. Now, VA is the only one because VA has 10 days to go ahead and return appraisal. So a VA loan, I would be uncomfortable promising VA loans in less than 3 weeks. I mean, we can maybe get it done in 2.5 weeks, but we have a little less control over the VA appraisers. We actually, it goes on a rotation with them. They pick it up and they basically have 10 days. But FHA loans, we can rush FHA loans and get those done. So they would fall under that next week closing too. Now the Florida housing, our hometown heroes, those are pretty fast too. You know, I would say for a Florida housing loan, 2 weeks to 3 weeks. You know, I might not put that in the 10-day category or the, you know, the 7 to 10-day category. But I would say Hometown Heroes, we should still be able to get those within 2 weeks. I don't see any reason why we can't get those done in 2 weeks too.
Yeah. The Hometown Heroes that we did in June, the first one that I did, this one was a Hometown Heroes and it was FHA. So again, it wasn't like there was anything special tagged onto Hometown Heroes. They don't even know that there's even a program going on, but they still accepted an FHA loan. You know, it was just, I believe we had the contracts mid-May or the last week of May, and we closed mid-June. So it was a very fast closing, less than 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. We were ready to go, but it was originally an FHA loan and we were going to do some other program with it. Hometown Heroes comes out June 1st, and here we are closing, you know, 2.5 weeks later. So it worked out nicely. But again, it was an FHA loan. It was more than anything communication with the listing agent and letting them know what we were doing. And as long as they know that we're communicating with them, I think that puts them at ease to know, hey, you know what, this is what the process is. This is what we're going to be doing. You know, talk to your sellers. I even offer, you know what, if your sellers want to call me, let's get a 3-way call. I'll talk to them. You know, obviously there's certain information I could offer, certain things that I can't. But I think it's just the comfort of knowing that I'm, you know, we're engaged. We want to make this happen for them.
Tom, refresh their memories too about what the Hometown Heroes is.
Well, the Hometown Heroes is a loan program for a lot of employers, whether you're a first responder, fire, police, but there's 2 pages of qualified types of employment, but it's a loan for first-time home buyers. And again, a first-time home buyer is considered somebody that hasn't had ownership in property over the past 3 years. Unless you're a veteran, then that doesn't matter. There's no, you could do the Hometown Heroes whether you're first time or not. But it's a loan that provides up to 5% of the loan amount towards your closing fees. It's 5% of your loan amount at 0 interest and 0 payments. So there's no paying that 5% of your loan amount back until you either sell the property or refinance it, or maybe you vacate that property and you're going to rent it and now you're going to buy a new primary. Of course, then you're going to have to pay that 5% of your loan amount back. But that program and that Home for Heroes program is an outstanding one for people to help them with their closing fees.
It's really good, like what Elizabeth said, for FHA too. I mean, we're kind of at the point where if we can do a 3% conventional or 3.5% FHA, is you can do 1% down and 1% in seller concessions. And we're starting to open up a little bit more in seller concessions now because the market's gotten a little softer. Trying to get seller concessions a couple months ago was not going to happen.
Yeah.
But 1% down, 1% in seller concessions is pretty much going to get you, or it's going to get you pretty close to getting into a house. So that's a pretty big deal. I'm trying to advertise that out to my realtors, maybe instead of, you know, dropping the price to go ahead and offer up the 1% seller concessions. And on the FHA loans, it's priced really well. The Hometown Heroes, I would say probably in about 2/3 of the people that it qualifies for, it's a great program. But it's knowing when it's a great program and when it's maybe not a great program.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have excellent credit, you're making $100,000 a year, you might qualify for the program, but the rate that you're going to get is not going to be as good as the rate that we could get you on a traditional financing.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say there's no cost to the second mortgage, yeah, there's no interest rate on the second mortgage and no payments. But if you're paying more for the first mortgage, then technically there is a cost for the program. But that's why you want to make sure you're working with professionals that understand these things. So we'll take a look at what makes sense for you. Does Hometown Heroes make sense? Does FHA make sense? Does conventional make sense? Because you really want to look and make sure. And also paying points. Do you pay a point? Do you not pay a point? And often there's a sweet spot where you can pay a little bit and you can pick up a lot in rate. So, you know, you just want to make sure you're dealing with people that understand this stuff. And we definitely have got to have a team that understands this stuff.
And just to you know, FHA, VA, conventional, Hometown Heroes, all of these are outstanding loan programs, but they all have their own criteria that we have to stay within. So, the difference between all these loan programs is the way the guidelines are written. And that's what we look at to see which loan program fits best for that borrower situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to just add one thing. I say financing is this industry back in the day before the crash, it become more sales than professional. And I think a lot of the reforms they did was very good. We cleaned out a lot of people from our industry that probably who I didn't think belonged in our industry. So when you're talking about buying one of the most important investments of your life, it's not a sales thing. It's a finance thing. So whenever you're making a big decision, your choices always involve some good, some bad, and some ugly. So I always want to know what's the good, what's the bad, and what's the ugly. And whenever I hear something, I hear it all the time, it's a no-brainer. The second somebody tells me something, a big decision is a no-brainer, it turns me off because there's risk associated with everything. And I know some people want to hear, oh, it's a no, they want to hear that because they don't like to make decisions if there's any risk at all. But for something that's important, I think it's important that you understand what you're getting into, and it's weighing out that hopefully the good or the upside is better than the risk. But it's also knowing a little bit of what the downside is. And that's really what I'm looking for. So, I think the three of us go with that is, we're all very, I say maybe high producing bad salesmen, but bad salesmen from the old traditional way that people saw salesmen. I just had those trigger words that turn me off. And I want people to talk to me, as a professional and an industry as a professional. And I say, again, if I'm selling you perfume all day long, I'll tell you this perfume will change your life, so I can say that and go home and sleep just fine. But if you're selling like financial, medical, or legal type advice, if that's what you're involved with, then I think you have a true obligation to make sure that you're sharing everything.
Mm-hmm. We did a a presentation, and I'll share a big shout out to Dedicated Seniors in West Palm. But we were out there, and they pretty much allowed us to gift their employees knowledge of how to how to start the home buying process. And not everybody was eligible for Hometown Heroes. We highlighted Hometown Heroes just because it's been the flavor of the month, type of thing. And I was able to speak to other people regarding the different types of financing that we have, the Florida Housing, Tanoa, Hometown Heroes. There's so many different other ones that we could do. And, it's as everybody just wants whatever I guess is in right now kind of thing. But I couldn't stress enough exactly what you said, Mike. Like, I don't think I would be able to sleep at night to say, hey, you know what? Everybody gets the same thing, because not everybody's situation is the same. Not everybody's credit is the same. Not everybody's income is the same. Their position at work, some of them may qualify, some of them may not. So if you don't qualify for a Hometown Heroes program, we do have other programs that we could probably help you and set up. Again, there is criteria that you have to meet in order to do it. It could be income, it could be credit. It could be just so many things, but you want to talk to somebody, one of us, that will be able to guide you and tell you, if it's a good fit for you or not.
Now, being this is pre-approval, let me see if I can share a pre-approval screen here. And Tom, I'll let you kind of just talk a little bit about the screen here. Let's see. It's a profile screen. So let's see how we can make this readable. Oh, geez,
there you go.
Not readable, is it? All right, let me put it on a different screen and change it around a little bit. So,
Mike is doing that too, by the way. While he's putting this pre-approval up, if you work in a place that you want us to come out and just share this information and do like a presentation, we'd be more than happy to do that for you. Sometimes it's hard for people to join us at 12:30. I totally get it. Or even during our Wednesdays first-time homebuyer class. But, we don't mind going out and spending time with you and sharing this information as well.
I had a realtor yesterday mention to me while we were talking about some clients. She was I wish I knew a little bit more about your industry, because I was discussing with her, like we do now, the heroes, the credit scores, and with every loan program comes a different, whether it be credit scores or how to qualify. She goes, I really wish I knew more about your industry. There's a lot obviously going on. And I said, we set up an appointment. We're going to give a quick little class in their real estate office just to go through, credit scores and things like that, to educate the realtors a little bit, so they know what to ask, obviously, with their buyers. So, yeah, it's a lot, but we certainly love sharing the information because it's great for everybody to know.
Yeah. It's just more, it's knowledge. I mean, for realtors, and believe me, I sat through realtor school, and one of the reasons I'm not licensed, but one of the reasons I did it is because I wanted to understand what my other half was going to be doing. And same thing. I mean, I don't expect everybody to sit there through a lender's class, because you're gonna, if you're not a numbers person, you're probably not going to enjoy it. But it was just a matter of just learning things here and there, and just being able to share with your borrower that much more. And I think that actually gives us just more of an advantage when you know a little bit about both sides, and you know what you're talking about. They're gonna know immediately. You know what? I want to go with this person. They're knowledgeable. They do their homework. Probably know a little bit more than what they should know, but they're there to answer my questions. So yeah, I love those little classes that we do, Tom. I think they're so important.
Yeah, and I think we've all touched on real estate for 5 or 10 minutes of each of our lives. So we know how important it is for that pre-approval letter to be valid once that realtor puts their clients or her clients in the car and now they're looking to make an offer. So, we know from experience that pre-approval letter has got to be valid, because the realtor's time, your time, everybody's looking on, whether it be weekends or getting together to be sure they see a house before, anything else happens. So the pre-approval letters are extremely important.
All right, so we've got a sample pre-approval letter up here. All right. And I do want to just kind of point out one thing. The maximum housing expense. So somebody says, what am I pre-approved for? You're not pre-approved for a number. You're pre-approved for a maximum housing expense. So Elizabeth, and hold on, I'm going to interrupt everybody. Elizabeth, put your headset back on, because I want to say something really quick. A lot of people, their husbands, they get them roses or jewelry or stuff like that. Elizabeth's husband got her a headset so she can go out and make more calls.
Kim, if you want to know where to get Mike a new pair, call Anthony for your anniversary today.
So we have spouses that support us working hard. I think Kim, home early, and the door's double bolted and locked. So.
Kim might have bought you a new calculator for your anniversary. Happy anniversary here, honey. Go back to work.
It's a tough market. I think you should be working a little later, making some calls. So, but Anthony, Elizabeth's husband, he knows. He goes, "Here's a headset. I don't want any excuses. Be making some calls." So, anyways, all right. Well, sorry to interrupt, but we'll go back to the pre-approval letter.
But the pre-approval letter here, I'll go through it real quick. So this client here was pre-approved for a purchase price of $270,000, loan amount $260,000. So it's a 95% loan to value. The loan program here is going to be an FHA purchase. It's their primary resident, and the maximum housing expense is the monthly amount that this borrower is qualified for, and that amount should include, I think, principal and interest, taxes, insurance, and any HOA. Estimated home and HOA fees. Exactly. So special conditions, great borrowers, easily verifiable income, quick loan approval, fast closings. So, and this is what the pre-approval letter reads, and this is what you bring and you present to your sellers once you're ready to make an offer.
And we give out, and Elizabeth is the expert on this. We have something that's called Lender Logic, where you put in the parameters. So if you're out there making an offer and you have a house that's 280 and the taxes are low and the HOA is low, that maybe it qualifies for 290. So you put this stuff out. You can do a 290 with 5% down. You can do a 250 with 5% down. I know some realtors. I have specific realtors that if it says if the asking price, or they want to make an offer of 247, 250, they want the pre-approval to say 247, 250. So we definitely want to make sure that we're matching that.
Yeah, the lender logics that Mike's talking about, I love that. I love that because you could send out multiple offers. Obviously, not every single property is going to have the same taxes. Not every single property is going to have the purchase price. And this is what I was referring to when we say, do you need us to update your pre-approval on Thursdays? We remind our realtors, do you need me to adjust your pre-approvals that you currently have, or anybody that's going to need to be pre-approved? because when you're most of the showings happen in the evenings or over the weekend, right? So you want to make sure that you have this available to you. And like Mike said, we set the parameters, so I promise you can't mess it up. If it gives you an error, we could try to adjust some numbers to see if there's anything that we could do, but there's really nothing that needs to be adjusted at this point where that we're just going to max you out completely. Or you may see some pre-approvals that if they're not maxed out. So I know that I ask, for example, a lot of my clients, I ask them, what's your housing expense? Like, what are you comfortable with paying in on a monthly basis? And they tell me, so that's where I end the parameters. If they tell me I don't want to pay more than $2,500 a month because they have children and they have all these expenses, I don't know what their personal life is. You know, I might not do a max out on their purchase price. I may do whatever their max out housing expenses. And again, our system, Lender Logics, will not allow you to issue a pre-approval based on the on what we put in the pre-approval. So it's such a neat system. And you know, I know like sometimes on the weekend we all get busy, we have families too, and I love the fact that I see emails coming through that somebody's printing out a pre-approval or getting something going. You know, even if I can't be there, you don't have to wait for me to do a PDF, you know, to you or try to change anything. It's all done, you know, from our phones. So if you want a quick tutorial, I know the three of us, if once you do a pre-approval with us, we'll take a couple of minutes so you know what to plug in, how to generate a quick call letter. Same thing with realtors. You know, we could even have a little class on it, but just to show you how it works. And I think it is a very neat tool and a very important tool to have when you're showing houses on the weekend, especially.
Right. Well, look at we have gone over our time, so we appreciate anybody that logs in and watches, or anybody that watches later. We seem to have a pretty good following afterwards. But the mortgage firm, Wellington Lake Worth, go to our Facebook page, like and share. Every Wednesday, we're here at 12 o'clock, and every Wednesday night at 6:30, we do home buyer classes. So every night at 6:30, just go to tmfclasses.com. TMF is in the mortgage firm, tmfclasses.com, and just register for a class. You'll get a Zoom link and just hop in, and they just run about 30 minutes. Ask any of your home buyer questions.
And we would love to thank everybody for sharing our information. I got a call earlier in the week and from a firefighter, and he didn't really see our videos live. It was a fellow firefighter that referred it to him, and then he was able to watch, and then he reached out to us for approval. So we want to thank everybody for sharing information. If you know anybody that's interested in purchasing, refinancing, we want to thank you for sharing information. We'd be honored for you to give them our name and number.
Excellent. All right. Well, this is timed out well because my computer is getting pretty close to just dropping me.
There we go.
So everybody have a great week. And again,
bye. Have a great week.